What is up, pimps and players? It's your boy Namejamie, and today I have an in-depth guide for the new skilling boss Zalcano. And in this guide, I'm going to cover stuff post-nerf of August 1st. Also in this guide, I'm going to give a general overview of the boss for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. I will also go over gear setups, inventory setups, mechanics, and at the very end, I will talk about securing MVP for those of you who are more familiar with the boss. On screen now, I will also have a table of contents for those of you who want to skip around and see specific things in the video. And really quick before I start the video, I want to give a huge shout out to anyone who watched the Song of the Elves quest guide and showed some love for it. I really appreciate you guys, and you make this worth doing. And remember, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more future content, hit the like and subscribe button below, and remember to turn on notifications. Now, to start this guide off, I want to give a general overview of Zalcano. Zalcano is a new skilling boss that was released with the Song of the Elves update and requires the completion of the Song of the Elves quest because Zalcano is located in the new city of Prifddinas, which is a reward from the quest. Zalcano is very much like the other skilling boss in the game Wintertodt for those of you who are familiar with it, and is seen much more as a group activity than a solo boss, but it can be soloed for those of you out there who like to play alone. Zalcano prior to the nerf was giving around 2 mil per hour for people who weren't tick manipulating, and for people who were tick manipulating, you could see as much as 5 mil per hour. But after these nerfs, she's giving a rate much more close to 1 to 1.5 mil per hour. Now, because of that, it might look like she's not worth doing anymore, but think that she is still the best crystal shards per hour, so if you're going to use the crystal weapons, armors, tools, she is definitely still worth doing to rack up those crystals. Also, one more thing to note is that the loot system was changed, and we will go over that in a minute, but because of this change, it is recommended that you kill the boss in a group of 4 to 5 now for the best loot per hour. For those of you out there who are just hunting crystal shards to recharge your weapons or something, you can hop to a more populated world for faster kills because you will get faster shards that way, but you're going to be looking at worse loot overall. So for the best balance of GP per hour and crystal shards, it's recommended that you stick to one of these smaller groups. Now, since I just mentioned it, let's go over the new loot system for Zalcano. The first thing to note with Zalcano's loot system is that it is a contribution loot system, meaning the more damage you do, the greater reward you should see. Because of this, Zalcano's loot tables are actually split up into 3 different tables. First, we have the lesser drop table, the second we have is the greater drop table, and the last table is the unique table. In order to qualify for these tables, you have to reach certain damage thresholds. Usually, if you do damage in all of the phases of the boss, you will be guaranteed at least some drop, likely from the lesser drop table. But if you do Zalcano as I instructed in a group of 4 to 5 and you get a few hits on the shield and a few hits on the boss herself, with decent hit RNG, you're almost guaranteed a drop from the greater drop table after the nerf. One more mechanic you need to be aware of with the loot system is that there is an MVP system also in place, meaning the person who gets the most points quote unquote towards the boss, or really the most damage, gets not only a drop from the greater drop table, but also receives a second roll from the lesser drop table, effectively making it so the MVP receives 2 drops per kill. You know you got MVP when you receive ashes along with your kill, since only the MVP gets the ash drop. Now, prior to the nerf, the MVP was the only person who had a chance at the pet. But now, after the nerf, everyone has a chance at the pet, and your chances increase with the amount of damage you have done. Meaning getting as much damage in as you can every kill is not only important for the best GP per hour, but will also net you the greatest chances at receiving the pet for those of you who are hunting it. Furthermore, contrary to some popular belief, both after and before the nerf, anyone who qualified for the minimum damage threshold to receive a drop could receive Zalcano's unique drops, meaning you did not actually need to get MVP to see the big ticket items. But getting MVP consistently will greatly increase those chances of seeing a crystal tool seed. Next, let's take a second to talk about your gear and inventory setups. For your gear, you're going to want to bring full graceful minus the chest piece. For your chest piece, you're going to want to bring your Varrock 3 or 4 achievement diary piece. And you're going to want to bring your best pickaxe, whether that be rune, dragon, or crystal. If you do not have the Varrock 3 or 4 chest piece, then I would suggest grinding out the requirements for the hard Varrock diary before starting Zalcano, especially if you're considering getting a lot of kills, as you will definitely notice the difference of having it versus not having it. For your inventory, you're going to want to bring 10 Saradomin brews, 4 stamina pots, and 1 rune pouch. As you get a little better at Zalcano and you get better at dodging the damage she puts out, because most of it is dodgeable, you can start to bring less Cerebrews, but to start out, I would definitely recommend this setup as it's going to offer the best balance between having open inventory spaces and elongating your trip so you don't have to bank every 10 minutes. Now for an actual fun part of the guide, let's talk about the overall fight of Zalcano. When you first enter the room, Zalcano should be standing near the center with a 300 HP shield above her. Now, when she has this shield, you will not be able to attack her with your pickaxe, so what we need to do first is get rid of this shield. You get rid of this shield by mining the 4 rocks in the corners of the room, taking that ore and turning it into tephra by putting it in the smelting furnace on the east side of the room, and then running across directly west to the rune crafting altar and imbuing that tephra so it is a throwable rock, and this rock will damage her shield. There are 2 things to notice with this part of the fight, and the first is that one of the 4 rocks in the corner will be glowing. You want to mine that rock as it will be way easier than the other 3. It will also yield more ore on average per mine than the other 3 rocks. The second thing to note is that one of Zalcano's attacks, which we will go over in detail in a little, involves her spawning portals on the ground that can either hurt or aid you. One of the portals that is colored blue will increase your damage when you are throwing the imbued tephra at her shield, so it is highly advised that you take advantage of those portals when you see them appear. After you take down her shield, Zalcano will go into her vulnerable phase. She will not attack during this phase, and this phase will end after you do a set amount of damage or a set amount of time has passed, depending on which occurs first. After this time is up, or the most amount of HP is dealt to her, she will stand back up and regain her shield, causing the fight to restart from stage 1. You're going to want to repeat the prior steps until you take down her shield again and do more damage, and repeat this until she dies. Now that we have gone over a basic overview of the fight, let's talk about her attack mechanics. Zalcano can attack in 5 different ways. The first is her falling boulder attack. This attack begins when Zalcano stomps one of her feet on the ground and moves her arms to the side, like so. When this happens, you will see dust fall from the ceiling, signifying that the boulders are coming on those tiles. You will then see the boulders begin to descend, and you simply need to move 1 tile away in order to dodge these. Also, these boulders will form shadows on the ground to further signify where they are going to fall. If these boulders are to hit you, they can hit up to 50, so make sure you keep your HP high. The next attack we will go over is what I like to call her auto attack. Her auto attack is unavoidable and deals very little damage, so it's not really worth worrying about. When it happens, it looks like a few pebbles are hitting you, and it should hit you between 1 and 5 HP. After that, we have the fireball attack. This attack happens when Zalcano looks at the glowing rock and launches a red fireball at it. This will cause the glowing rock to explode and deal damage to those surrounding it. Again, move 1 tile away from the rock and this attack will not hit you. But if it does, it should hit between 25 to 35 damage. Also note that this attack signals the changing in the glowing rock, meaning that as soon as the fireball hits the rock that is glowing, it should stop glowing and another one around the room should start glowing. After that, we have a 2-part attack, and these 2 attacks I consider her most dangerous, so be wary of them. The first attack is her shockwave attack. The shockwave attack is the far less dangerous of the 2 and occurs when Zalcano is transitioning back to regaining her shield. She will begin to charge up like she is lightning bending over here like Avatar Aang, and like the previous attacks, this attack will damage anyone who is 1 tile next to her when it goes off. This attack should hit for around 10 damage, so if it ends up clipping you, it's not the end of the world. Now, the second attack is the far more dangerous attack and is what I like to call her fallen damage. This attack occurs right after you take down her shield and lasts all the way to the beginning of her shockwave attack. How this attack works is if you walk under any tile she is registered on while she is down on 1 knee / fallen, you will get hit for continuous 20s to 30s. These numbers stack up fast, and before you know it, 1 misclick can cause 60 damage. This happens most often when people try and stand next to her right as her shield is going down, and right before she ends up going down, she walks a few tiles right on top of them, and they end up getting KO'd. A pro tip for dodging both of these attacks is to turn on NPC Indicator, which is a RuneLite plugin. This plugin shows you exactly what tiles Zalcano is registered to, making it very easy for you to see if you're standing next to her for her shockwave attack, or to see if you're standing under her for her fallen damage. Lastly, we have Zalcano's portals attacks. This is the most important attack to understand, as it can make or break your chances at getting MVP. During this attack, Zalcano will coat the floor in red and blue portals. If you walk through the red portals, they will hit you from 8 to 26 damage, depending on how long they have been down for. They will also drain your run energy, which is brutal when considering how important it is to keep your run energy up at all times at Zalcano, hence why we bring the stamina potions. However, if you sit in the blue portals and throw your Tephra at Zalcano's shield, you will get a damage multiplier, which will increase your damage against her shield drastically. So in summary, red portals bad, blue portals good. Also, one thing you can do as a more experienced player with the portal attack is you can learn to diagonally path through the red portals, making it so you can get to the smelting furnace and the rune crafting altar more efficiently, faster, and not taking as much damage. Now, one more mechanic that I want to mention but didn't really have a place for was her golem attack, even though it's more like a defense. During her shield phase, Zalcano will summon a golem on the outskirts of the room that will slowly walk over to her. If it reaches her while her shield is still up, it will heal her for up to 50 HP. It is recommended that you kill this golem not only to deny the heal, but also because it drops 20 already to go Tephra for you to throw at her shield. If you are in a solo or duo, it is paramount that you kill this golem. If you are in a 6 to 7 man plus, you can usually burst down her shield before the golem can get to her, making the golem obsolete. Now, one thing to note with this attack also is that it shares the same animation as the fireball attack. One good way to see which attack is actually coming is to look at what direction she is facing. If she is facing directly north, south, east, or west, then she is casting the golem attack. But if she is looking northeast, southeast, southwest, or northwest, she is casting the fireball attack, since those are the locations of the pillars that she just targeted. Another good way to tell which attack is coming is to know that the fireball attack often comes right after she regains her shield, and doesn't usually come mid-phase. So if she has just regained her shield and looks like she is charging up an attack that looks like a fireball, she is probably casting the actual fireball attack instead of summoning a golem. And with that information, that basically sums up the entire Zalcano fight, meaning you should be ready to go ahead and gear up and start trying Zalcano. For the rest of the video, I want to talk about what I feel like most people came for, and that is some hardcore mechanics that I use in order to secure MVPs in the long run. I know these mechanics are not for everyone, as they require a lot more effort to use than just killing the boss normally, but I know there are some hardcore people out there who want to know these things, so sit down in your gaming chair and let's get sweaty. The first method I use to secure more MVPs is gauging when to run back to the glowing rock. During the damage phase, Zalcano cannot be pushed past 620 HP in phase 1 and 240 HP in phase 2. By knowing these values, you can gauge when your team is going to hit those values, which will allow you to path back to the glowing rock first while not missing any damage on Zalcano. I have put an example on screen where I have preemptively run back to the glowing rock ahead of my team, which allows me to get the ores first, which I will eventually turn into rocks to throw at her shield, which will net me more damage. The damage adds up over the 2 phases and can easily net you 30 to 40 extra damage over the fight. The next method I use to secure more damage again relates to Zalcano's shield, and that is timing the portals. As I covered earlier, the blue portals buff your damage, but one key thing I see a lot of players mess up on is not knowing whether they'll make it to the portals on time before they disappear. Because you have to remember, you have to spend time smelting and rune crafting your ore and running across the room, and by the time you do all this and get to the other side of the room, the portals may be gone. So what ends up happening is that people do not make the portals, and they just wait by the rune crafting altar until the next portal phase comes up, and all that time could have been used to get more ores to ultimately throw at her shield, which would get you more damage. On average, the portal phase lasts about 15 seconds. By knowing this time, you can effectively plan whether you'll make the blue portals on time or whether it is safe to mine more ores and get extra rocks to throw at her shield. My last method is a high risk, high reward method that will either guarantee you MVP or it will greatly hinder your chances at MVP. The method is what I like to call golem hunting. Golem hunting is when you get 2 to 3 tephra or ore instead of your standard 4 to 6. By doing this, you will be able to move across the room and smelt your ores and then runecraft your ores much faster than the rest of your team, since 2 to 3 ores can be as simple as 1 mining XP drop. Now with this 2 to 3 ores, you wait by the runecrafting altar for Zalcano to summon the golem. You then instantly use the tephra to kill the golem and receive the drop of 20 tephra. With an arsenal of 20 tephra, you should actually almost be able to kill the shield by yourself. Now, why this works is because your team should be far enough behind because they got extra ore that you should get 5 to 10 extra throws on the shield, which can net you 100 total extra damage on her shield when compared to everyone else. Now, how many extra throws you actually get greatly depends on when the portals come up and how quick the rest of your team is. But even with the fastest members possible, you should still get an extra 5 throws, which will net you an extra 50 damage, which is huge. As I said though, this method is not without its drawbacks. The first is that Zalcano is not guaranteed to spawn the golem. If she does not, then you may actually only get 3 throws in on the shield, which is not good because most people will get around 5 throws per shield phase, meaning you lost 2 boosted damage throws. The second drawback is that the golem appears to be a public drop for some reason. Now, most people aren't scummy enough to steal your tephra drop from the golem, but you best believe some people are, and if they hijack your drop, you're almost guaranteed to not get MVP since you will have no damage to do on the shield phase. Again, as I said, this circumstance is rare, but it does happen. And with that last piece of knowledge, guys, I'm actually going to wrap up the guide here, and I hope you enjoyed today's video and you have seen that I've been putting a lot more effort into editing my videos in order to bring you guys the absolute best content possible. So if you could take the time again to like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you sweaty boys in the next one. Peace!